Good evening. It is Wednesday. Can you believe it? It is Wednesday, the 22nd. Gosh, time is flying. Good evening. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy. Good evening. With the campaign update, tamaraforgeorgia.com. And I just found out a second ago that my site is having some sort of technical difficulties, and I'm not quite sure what it is, but as soon as we're done with this broadcast, I will go and find out what in the world is going on. Maybe we shut it down. I hope that's the case. Like, so many people are going there that maybe we've actually shut it down. So let's give you a couple little updates on my campaigns. I'm going to bring Mr. Karl in to the broadcast. Let's see who's joining us this evening. Good evening. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy, candidate for the United States Senate right here in the great state of Georgia. So let's see. If you have any questions, comments, make sure to put it in the chat. The website, let me put that up, is down for some reason. I'm not sure what in the world is going on. When I tell you I've had a crazy day today, I have actually had a crazy day today. So again, tamaraforgeorgia.com. If you have not been to the website, it will be working in just a few minutes as soon as we're done with this broadcast. We have a challenge for those of you that are able to phone bank. I'm asking that you join me in what we're calling Dante's Challenge, named after our ADOS affiliate up in, I think, New Jersey. Please don't quote me, Dante. Forgive me if I'm getting it wrong. But Dante's Challenge is an actual phone bank challenge, and we're hopeful to get as many people phone banking. And it's an ADOS challenge to see which chapters can actually make the most phone calls. So if you have not been to the website to sign up to volunteer, we will have a volunteer training on this Saturday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until 1:30. It's just a 30-minute phone bank challenge, but phone bank conference call for those of you who have not phone banked before, or just to get you affiliated with my candidacy and making sure you're on understand how to share my candidacy with those that you're calling. So it will be this Saturday at 1:00, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 1:30. I have some really nice flyers for those of you that are local to Georgia. And if you would, make sure that you maybe shoot me an email. It's tamara@tamaraforgeorgia.com. Shoot me an email and let's get you some flyers so that you can start passing them out in your local areas right here in Georgia. So I'm going to bring Karl into the broadcast where we're going to start talking about economics, reparations, how we change America. Good evening, Karl.
Good evening. How are you?
I am wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Welcome to the broadcast. It's Wednesday evening. Thank you for joining me again.
No problem.
So when we last talked, Karl, I actually still have, I think I have some of my notes where we talked about economics, and we were talking about how top down hadn't worked, trickle down economics hadn't worked, and your philosophy is bottom up economics.
Right. Well, the Democrats in general, they may have not explained it in the way that I am, but basically they invest in what our people and businesses need to thrive, and it's what will make actually reparations pay for itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we don't. As Democrats, business is not something that Democrats actually talk about, and I think this is where we lose a lot of people that believe in what we believe in as Democrats, is Medicare for all and some of these programs that will help all of us. But the fact that we don't talk about business and economics is hurting us and has hurt us.
Right. Well, we talk about the morality of how it helps our people and so on, but really not how it works. I mean, a little bit. You saw Obama here a number of years ago talk about how money, when we invest money in education and other things, that it gets into the bottom of the economy. It gets spent quickly, but basically the explanation didn't go further. And Bill Clinton talked about it's about the economics, about the math, but then didn't really explain the math very far. And and it's not too difficult, and that's what I've been working on, is how to explain that to the non-economist, the average Joe and Jill, and and all of those. So that's what I'm doing.
So I always talk about how Republicans speak dollars and cents. We have to talk to them in dollars and cents and make it make sense.
Right.
So,
well, and
mhm.
also we know that we need to know the principles behind the policies. Now, Democrats also talk about specific policies, but they really don't talk about the drivers of those policies. And in the GOP, basically they have messages that sound right. They have things that are more like principles, but they don't work. They say, oh, we're just going to cut taxes on the job creators, we're going to get government out of the way. But that actually sounds reasonable, but it doesn't work, and there's physical reasons why it doesn't work.
What are those reasons?
Well, trickle down. I mean, basically, if you're just getting, if you're going to give more money to the quote unquote job creators, and what they mean by that is the wealthy. And the reason that trickle down doesn't work, they have more. If you have a lot of money, you invest in things slowly. You actually don't want to lose your money, so you become risk averse, and you invest and spend slowly. So you invest, you look around at a lot of different deals, and then you may or may not, invest in something. But the issue, if you're going to expand the economy, is that you've got to speed up money in the economy, not slow it down. So when you invest slowly, you're actually slowing money down in the economy. Also, you don't have a lot of immediate needs. If you have a whole bunch of money, well, you got time to go, kick tires in different cars and stuff. But man, if you don't have a lot of money, you don't have transportation, and you get a little bit of money, that money is spent quickly. To find that car or whatever, you've got immediate needs. But if you're wealthy, you don't have immediate needs. So again, you spend slowly, which slows down money in the economy, shrinks the economy. And then the third thing is that if you're a business, and if you're going to hire, or if you hire people and actually buy stuff to expand your company, the tax rate on that, those are expenses of the company. So they're either expensed directly or amortized over a few years, whatever. But the tax rate on that is zero. So a lower tax rate on your income, your business income, basically is a reason to take money out of a company and not leave it in the company. That's why you see companies buying back stock instead of hiring people. The reason, or what drives businesses to invest is and expand their companies when there's more customers with more money, not when the company has more money, because they can go out and borrow it. They have a number of options. Especially now, there's a fairness issue in terms of Wall Street has a lot easier time getting funded than Main Street, and that's a policy issue. That's a policy problems. But there's actually money there, and especially if you have more customers, more money, you actually need less financing, you need less investment and stuff. Everything works out better as a business. Those are the three reasons why trickle down doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Something you said, more customers with more money. When people,
right.
I'm gonna tell you this story. I overheard a conversation. I was in a room, and I was on the other side of the room, and somebody on the other side got a phone call from the bank. And I've told this story before. They got a phone call from the bank, and you could tell it was the bank by the way that he was having a conversation with them. And he said to the person from the bank, he said, well, I just leave money in that account. He said, I just dump money into that account until I can figure out what to do with it. And I could have just screamed. And I'm thinking to myself, if this man has so much money that he can just dump money in this account and just let it sit there until he can figure out what to do with it, I could have screamed, Karl.
Right. Well, he doesn't want to lose it. Once you have a whole bunch of money, you don't want to lose it. That's just human nature. That's not if you're Republican or Democrat or whatever. That's just human nature. There's some exceptions to the rule. Some people do.
That's hoarding, though, right? Like, to me, it's kind of like you're hoarding it.
Oh, you're safe. You become, it took you so much to get it or whatever. Once you have it, you don't want to lose it, and you want to invest it. The prudent people will invest it and invest it wisely and stuff, but that takes time. That's he's saying, I'm going to take, I got to figure out what to do with it. Okay, so if you're a business and you try to go raise money, you go talk to a bunch of what's called angels or venture capitalists or, friends and family or whatever. They're gonna well, especially the angels and the professional money. They look at a lot of different deals, and especially, and they'd rather look at big deals and not little deals. If you're like just barely getting going, it's going to take them a lot of work to figure out if what you got is a really a viable deal and they can make good money on it, versus if it's a big deal, if you're already at the $1 to $5 million point, and you're trying to become a $50 million company. Well, that's they don't have to analyze so many deals. They don't really want to put a little bit of money in a lot of deals. They'd rather put more money in bigger deals. So it's harder for small companies to really to get going. A lot of people have great ideas and so on, but they just really don't have access to capital. Now, if they have more customers and money, if there's more people there that are just banging down the doors to try to buy something from them and everything, well, they're gonna have more. They can have more revenue early. It makes their business plans look better. It's actually easier than to raise money, and they won't need as much money because they've got customers and that are helping pay for. A lot of companies are bootstrapped. You get a little bit of going, and then you make it bigger and bigger and bigger, over time.
Mm-hmm. So where would you like for us to take this conversation tonight, Karl?
Well, let's go back to the slides. Do you have that presentation, Andy?
Nope. Put it in the. You got to put it in the chat, and then I can bring it up.
No, you had it. I sent it to you on. You have it on your system there. From
nope.
last week. You had the link from us?
No,
Sorry?
No, it doesn't save them. You got to send it to me again.
Oh, okay. Well, you had to download it, and it took a little bit to download, and you downloaded it.
I did. Okay.
So, I tell you what. Well, next week we'll get that one. We'll get that one worked out. Stuff if you don't, because you've got it on your computer someplace. And so if you had saved it and then you brought it back up, I don't think it was.
No, it's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
Well, okay. So what I was talking about last time, and we'll kind of do a little recap and then kind of go on from there. And I've got some well, I tell you what, why don't you bring up a web browser, and then we'll just kind of play the videos. So go to.
And my website is up now. I don't know what the heck was going on, Karl.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's a good thing. Maybe the server was down temporarily.
Maybe.
I was all worried.
I'm looking at it now.
Well, good.
So my website is working, y'all.
Well, hopefully in your in your browser there, it'll remember. So go to votereducationproject.com and then /H once you get there. In fact, that for anybody listening, you might want to bring that up in a browser too. votereducationproject.com and then / and Tamara, tell me when you got that.
I appreciate everybody being so patient with us tonight. When I can tell you I had a rough day today. It started out rough. And I've been trying to catch up. I want to give a shout out to my ADOS family who've just been, and I said this on Twitter today, just the wind underneath my wings, because it's just this running gets, it gets heavy, it gets very heavy, it gets hard. And I just want to thank you guys for undergirding me and supporting me and encouraging me. I totally appreciate you. So I just want to say that while you guys, while we're getting this screen going here.
So after you got votereducationproject.com /H. Okay, you got okay. We just went to the voter education project. Now scroll down to, go down just a little ways.
Okay.
Okay, and go down to the videos. And the link directly to it is HBUEW. Now you'll see the How Bottom-Up Economics Works video if you click on that one.
The second one?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, to get there directly, just go to so on that first one, the first video, the top video, let's go ahead and click on that there, and it's about 5 minutes, so we'll just listen to that.
This
Oh,
video
wait,
covers
wait.
how bottom-up
Hopefully they can hear us.
Let's consider what your people need to thrive and what your businesses need to exist and succeed.
You have to turn it up a bit.
You need health
Can you hear it?
education,
I
infrastructure,
tell you what, can you pause it?
safe communities, community development.
Go ahead and pause it. So, so basically what we're saying here is, well, if you go ahead and pause it there. Okay.
Okay, let me remove this banner. Y'all, thank y'all for sticking with us. Go ahead, Carl.
So what we're saying is, you know, to sort of understand how bottom-up economics works, we need to look at, start looking at like, what do our people need to thrive, and what do our businesses need to exist and succeed? And go ahead and let it go forward just a little bit more.
Do you have sound? You have good audio? If you guys can hear me, you can hear the audio, please.
The
let us-
audio is real low.
Okay.
It's not really low. So at the very end of this, go ahead and hit pause right now. Go ahead and pause it there. Oops. I was trying to show where all of those, if you could just back it up just a little bit, where there you go, right there. Okay, so basically, actually another slide showed where our people need, you know, education and healthcare and infrastructure and community development, research, safe communities, and safety nets and stuff. They need all of those. Our people need all of those things. But guess what? Our businesses need those things too. Businesses need healthy and educated people to exist. They need research to exist, infrastructure, community development, safe community and safety net to exist. They need all of these things to exist. And businesses don't create the necessary conditions for them to exist. So if we just get rid of government, just government out of the way, well, guess what? Then government's not, you know, we the people collectively aren't creating the necessary conditions for our people or our businesses, you know, to thrive. So that's really a bad idea. In fact, the more we put into this, if you look at, if we look at third world countries, they don't invest heavily in these areas. And guess what? 2/3 of their people are in poverty. You know, 100 and something years ago, 90% of our population was in poverty before we really had all of these much more massive investments in these areas. So this is highly, you know, highly related to us succeeding. Go ahead and go forward now. Unpause it.
The necessary conditions for people and businesses are our basic public investments, BPIs. After World War II, when we were broke, we invested heavily in our BPIs. We invested heavily in building our healthcare system, our educational system, infrastructure, research, safe communities, community development, and our safety nets. These investments built our middle class, grew a strong economy, and paid off huge for taxpayers. Bottom-up economics consists of three elements: our basic public investments, plus valuing all workers, plus a fair system.
Yeah, go ahead and pause it for a second.
On the BPI.
So now this is what Democrats have been doing for a long time, and actually Republicans, for the most part, have been resisting these things. Now Republicans have in the past have been better about this, but right now they're really down on all of our work. They're holding back. If you feel like you're being left behind, it's, ask yourself, well, who's blocking raising the minimum wage? Who's blocking, equal pay for equal work? And who's blocking, workers' rights and stuff in a fair system? And who's creating, who's getting rid of the protections for our employers, our employees, and our environment and our customers, and and all of that, and who wants to defund our basic public investments, pulling back everything except infrastructure. They get infrastructure, but they don't, but they're really trying to pull back from healthcare, from education, from they want you to have a great education if you can afford it. They want you to have great healthcare if you can afford it. They don't understand that when we collectively buy these things, then that actually makes it a better environment allows our people to thrive, and our businesses to thrive, and our economy to do better. It actually enables our free enterprise system. So go ahead and go forward.
So let me ask you a question right there. Do you think that there is such greed? Because I'm like, this makes perfect sense to me. And I'm sure that the viewers that are watching, this makes sense to them too. So what is it that stops them? Is it greed? Is it racism? Is it something else that stops them from doing this? Is it sexism? Like, what is it?
Are you talking about Republicans?
Or just, yes, Republicans. That's just
Okay. So, so the other side. So this is basically, demand side economics, and they believe in, trickle down, or more formally, supply side economics. And they think that you just, again, get government out of the way, and you get more money, you cut taxes, and then the businesses will create. The theory is they'll have more money, so they'll invest it in growth and all of that. So it's a philosophical difference, and they've got there's a billionaire, Nick Hanauer, and it says, well, we've got this really backwards, that it's not that, you give, that when employers or companies and rich people have more money, that they will just go off and build all this stuff. It's that, it's when people have more money. It's like we're a 75% consumer-based economy. And so if we're not spending, and if government's not spending, and if businesses aren't spending, and everything, you've got to get all of that spending happening. And then, the supply side, I think people can get that with automation and all this stuff, we're able to create, the business community can create far more products and services than we can ever consume. So we don't have a supply side problem, but we do, I think most people can get that with automation and stuff coming, even now and then into the future in a much more dramatic way, that we've got to worry about this, the demand side, that our wages are good enough, that there's all sorts of things that the computers or the robots and automation can't do. And so we just need to make sure that everything is valued, even menial labor. Who knows? Maybe
they tend to think that people that do, service work, and, they don't see that, or fast food, they don't see those people as these are real jobs. I heard somebody said to me that these aren't real jobs. This is a job that my teenager should be doing. So they shouldn't be paying any more than what they're paying.
Right. Yeah. And there might be some jobs or some situations where you have kind of an apprentice type of pay to, your first job, or you're young. There might be some considerations, for that. But, there's a lot of people that live on flipping burgers at McDonald's. That's their livelihood. And being janitors and other things. Maybe I was going to say, it'd be kind of ironic if into the future, with robots doing and automation doing a lot of things, that the jobs that might pay the most are the ones that people would want to do the least. So would it be something where, the best paying jobs are the most menial and kind of boring and other things, jobs that people tend not to want to do? That would be kind of a flipping everything on its head. And that may, who knows, maybe that happens one day. I'm not advocating for that or anything like that, but it might be a kind of a funny twist into the future.
So you say we don't have a supply problem. We have a demand problem.
We have, and we're going to have a worse demand problem, into the future. And that's what makes things like a basic income, to make sure that people have. I mean, then you have people with money. If we don't keep up our consumer base, the consumer base will collapse. As more and more jobs are done by automation and all of this. So then you'll have some wonderful products and services, but fewer and fewer people to buy them. So if we don't want a future where 3/4 of our population is in poverty. What was that movie recently? With the hunters or the anyway, I probably know which.
I don't have the. I don't watch any television. I can't. I don't have time. I wish I could.
Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of kind of dire predictions into the future where lots and lots of people are in poverty and stuff, and and then there's a few people that are just living just beyond belief. And certainly we don't want that kind of future. What we want is a future where there's a shared, that we have a prosperous economy and nation and world, but also it's shared. It's like you don't have extreme poverty. We really, and that's where, a lot of your policies are going. And I hope you become like the queen or, the champion for, for ending poverty as we know it. It should be ended. We really have the ability, we have the know-how of how to, how the economy works, and if we invest in these kinds of things, that will. Oh, okay, go back to the. Did it kick you out or? Oh, okay. Go ahead and expand it again.
Oh,
No, not the second one. Go back to the first one there.
Oh, go back to this one.
Valuing
Yeah.
hard work creates more customers.
So, yeah, back up just a little bit. So I'll go on here. So
This
go
one?
to the last slide there, or the one before that. Let's see what. Go back to. Okay. So yeah, go ahead and go forward from here. So it's basically bottom-up economics is these three things, and I think, let's say that's not how the Democrats have described it in the past. But if you do an analysis of what the kinds of policies they go after, it's obviously made of those three elements. So we're not going as deeply right now into valuing all workers. And I say that because it's not just a livable minimum wage. It's not just equal pay for equal work. It's not just workers' rights. It's all three of those things. So I came up with a term, valuing all workers, as one of the tenets of or the foundations of bottom-up economics. So when we do that, the theories against this are that, well, if people make more wages, then all the products, if you double the minimum wage, you get it up to $15 an hour, then all the products are just going to double, and then the poor people really haven't benefit. Well, the reality is that wages are generally a small part of a product or service price. So even doubling the lowest of wages, and which would push the higher level wages up, decreasingly so as they go higher and higher. But people making $15 an hour now would make, 25, 27, whatever. So it would push all those lower level. It wouldn't double the higher wages and stuff. It would increase them less and less as you go up. But it would put a lot of money at the bottom of the economy that, which gets spent quickly, creates a lot of customers with money. In the past, they said, well, like decades ago, when we increased wages for through these mechanisms for skilled labor, the argument was, well, it's going to put a lot of people out of jobs. It's going to people are going to be too expensive. Well, what it did is it made a lot more customers. And so, I mean, if you look at the difference between us and like Mexico or the third world countries don't pay in general their skilled labor very much. And so people in skilled labor are in poverty. And well, I shouldn't laugh. I mean, but it's this kind of bizarre to think, because we expect people with skilled labor with really good skills to make decent money in this country. We would kind of expect that. Well, it didn't used to be, and it's through these mechanisms we increased their wages. The naysayers said, well, it's going to kick all these people out of jobs or a lot of people out of jobs. No, it actually increased the number of jobs because there was just more people that had money to be able to hire those kinds of services, even for themselves and everything. So, so that was one of the things. And then this whole thing about inflation and, the products would just go up so much more and all that. And those two factors aren't actually the case. So creating more customers and more money, and by driving up or valuing all of our workers is going to actually help our people. It's the morally right thing to do for people to have enough wage to have a quality of life, or at least a minimum quality of life, and then it's the economically smart thing to do as well. So go ahead and go forward again.
Okay, we have about another minute and a half.
Okay.
Go forward to the next slide.
Yep. Let's go ahead. So a fair system. Okay, so go check out Robert Reich's work. He's got a lot of really good videos, and go just a little bit more forward. You'll see another little banner there. Anyway, go just a little bit more forward there, if you would.
Go forward a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Anyway, so he's got some, he's got all these little short videos and so on on how to create it, or the problems or the unfairness in our current system and how to fix it and all that kind of stuff. So go to his YouTube channel, and it's got, like I said, really a lot of good work there. So I highly recommend that. And then so go ahead and go forward again. The next slide. So okay. So I guess we'll get started on this. So we'll talk a little bit more about the speed of money next time, on the speed of money economy, and how when it goes faster, actually just go just a little bit forward, give them a little sneak on it and stuff. And
so you want me to go to the next slide?
No, just a little bit more forward. It'll show another banner. It shows several things here. You'll start seeing some things. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, keep going. So it's about, so expanding economy, it's about, yeah, there you go. Okay, good. It's about speed. Go ahead and pause it.
What speeds up money?
Okay, so when we speed up money in economy, it expands the economy, it grows the economy. Economy is not a fixed size pie. And what means it's creating more jobs. It's also creating more tax revenue. So even if we're investing to do it, just raising wages does this automatically as well. But even if we're buying or paying for more people's education and healthcare and all of that, or investing in those kinds of things, infrastructure, research, all that, this basically creates more jobs, creates more tax revenues, creates a bigger economy. So those tax revenues, that's a stimulus effect. It's going to speed up. It's going to start paying for itself immediately, and then we get. I'll show a little bit later how we get years to decades of payback from healthy and educated people, research, and all of that. And if we invested in reparations, the same thing. It's basically if you lift a bunch of people up economically, out of poverty or out of from lower in the middle class to higher in the middle class, whatever, they're going to create far more revenue or far more income for themselves over their life, and also far more, pay far more taxes, over their life, which will end up paying for the, what it took to do that. And then other businesses and farmers across the country, and, will benefit when we have fewer people in poverty. So it's in all of our best interest to eliminate poverty. Our economy will just expand, and so we don't have to take it from some people don't have to do worse for others to do better. We can all do better.
And I like that. Some people don't. Some people don't have to do worse for other people to do better.
Right.
Is that what you just said?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
You can find Karl at votereducationproject.com. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy, and my website is working. You can find me at tamarafordgeorgia.com. You'll find us right back here next Wednesday, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 8:30, talking about reparations, the U.S. economy, and how we have this conversation beyond our emotions. Karl, I want to thank you for joining me on this week's broadcast. I look forward to next week.
Excellent.
Have a good week, everybody.
You too.